Patrick Neubert, who's the former CEO of the open edX provider Polarstern Education and co-founder of Academa.de. Patrick recently founded Academa, which runs on the open edX platform, and will elaborate on how he leveraged the open edX software to start this new startup venture. So Patrick and his colleague Luis will begin their presentation now. Enjoy.
Okay, great. Thank you, Eden. I hope you can hear me and you can see our slides here. Maybe just a brief introduction. My name is Patrick. I'm one of the co-founders, as Eden mentioned. I've been in the edtech and MOOC space for 8 years now. So from the very beginning, I've done some research on the various business models of MOOC providers, and then went on to RWTH Aachen University to help them partner with edX, become a chartered member there, help them build their first MicroMasters program, and then went on to co-found Polarstern Education, which is a service provider that has helped small businesses and large organizations run open edX. And at the beginning of this year, I've left Polarstern Education to focus full-time on a new venture that I co-founded, which is Academa. And my colleague Luis is here today with me as well, and I'm just going to hand it over to him to introduce what this venture is up to.
Yeah, thanks, Patrick. Also from my side, thanks for having us. I'm Luis, also co-founder from Academa, as you can see. Academa is my first touch point to the whole edX business, and I'm really looking forward to become part of this open edX community. Originally, I studied mechanical engineering at the RWTH Aachen University before I switched to business economics, and until last year, I was a PhD student at one of the business economic chairs here in Aachen, and then founded Academa together with Patrick at the end of last year. So far to Patrick and me, but let's start with some insights about Academa. Later on, Patrick will take over and talk about why we chose open edX. So we think that we all have one thing in common. No matter from which country we get or in which country we are currently living in, public institutions like government offices or agencies, administrations of cities and municipalities, they are all not the most digitized, innovative, agile, and dynamic facilities, especially when you compare them to private sector companies. And we are all living in this ever-accelerating world, and especially the pandemic has shown us that the limits of the public sector and how fragile it is and how not stress-resistant this sector is. And imagine that our governments and public services lose their fundamental function of providing stability, and our lives directly correlate to the professionality with which our public sector institutions function. And of course, there is enough money to digitize procedures or processes and to provide more digital devices for the public sector. But currently, we're building digital products for analog heads, for analog employees. And therefore, we say, without proper training, the public sector will not keep pace in this ever-accelerating world. If we say public sector, we talk about government authorities, the administration of universities, hospitals, schools, as well as cities, municipalities, and many more. And this B2G market has some very special characteristics, which make it attractive and unattractive at the same time. So, as I already mentioned, the whole market is not very open-minded towards innovative novelties. I would say this is caused by two things. On the one hand, rigid structures, which hinder and impede changes in general. And on the other hand, a basic need for security or an acting driven by fear of making mistakes. This is one characteristic on the one side. The second characteristic is maybe the most prominent characteristic of this market is the high entry barriers of this market, especially for providers who are not specialized in GovTech. But on the other hand, of course, there are some quite attractive characteristics for companies to enter in this public sector. The first one, the stability towards economic downturn. So in every crisis, also in the pandemic, the government is always up and running because it's the foundation for a whole economy. The second positive thing is the current political zeitgeist for digital transformation and transformation in general, and this is quite helpful for innovative companies or startups. So politicians are really looking for quick wins in this market. But how do we enable these 450 million learners in this very special market? What's the role of Academa and why we are different compared to all the big learning platforms? The simple answer, or maybe not so simple, the answer is content. Specialized content for a really special market. So our main tasks are finding and scouting the hot relevant topics for this market. And of course, together with this topic, the topic experts in this field. So we are talking here about topics like how to fill out this form. How do I work in an audit-proof manner? Or how to become more agile in these structures of a public institution. So really basic and highly specialized content for these employees of the public sector. And of course, the development of the courses themselves is a task, as well as the content design and the whole storytelling, but always based on the special needs of the learners from the public sector. And I would say the most essential part is probably the platform and the access to the public sector user base. So we have an up and running learning platform, which is tailored to the needs of the learners. So the stereotype of a learner in our market, in the market of the public sector, would never find their way on any of the existing learning platforms. Way too advanced, way too innovative, too many features and functions, so no chance that this will work in any way. And of course, we provide user support for any of our users because there are plenty of questions. I already mentioned our platform and the technical part of our business or of our product. So I think it's probably the best time to pass the floor over to Patrick. Yeah, it's your time.
Sure. Thanks. So to give you a brief insight of where we stand today, as mentioned, we've launched at the beginning of this year, and our focus was to get this type of content up and running as fast as possible. And with the services of EduNext and the Open edX project, we've been able to get up and running in a matter of weeks without having to invest too much time into development, which of course is a great win for us. We've started with 6 courses that are up and running right now. In total, we have 14 courses on the platform that are either in use in various institutions or that are at the very end of their development process. And we've gained a lot of traction in our local German market with over 54 government institutions already using these courses, and being very thankful that there is a provider that specializes on the topic that are relevant to them. And growing up in the US and Germany, I know that this is not a German-only problem, which is why we knew from the very beginning that we want to offer these courses in multiple languages. Of course, there are multiple topics in various countries, and they aren't always the same. But especially here in the European Union, we have more and more EU regulations that are being rolled out through laws, and we just want to make this these laws more understandable, so we know that we have an addressable market in other languages here in Europe. And Luis already mentioned some of the courses based on new work and agile work, which can take quite a different turn when you want to apply it to the bureaucratic ecosystem of these institutions, and we've built a lot of content in that area as well, and think that we were able to scale that beyond Germany. And that's why we're launching with multi-language courses by the end of this year. This is a great place to talk about why we chose Open edX and why or what it has enabled us to do. So whenever people ask me why did you choose Open edX as the foundation or at the core of your product, the fast and easy answer is we wanted to save a lot of time, and we didn't have the capabilities to develop our own platform. And I think this is exactly where Open edX comes in, and where it's able to serve many communities. And then at the same time, even though I have an Open edX background, of course we've done some scouting on other tools, but there's a few points that became clear to us where we think Open edX is the way to go. The first thing is we really like the combination of having a tool like edX Studio that is directly linked to a course environment, and with a fast scaling team here, we didn't want to use any SCORM editors or other solutions that would require our team to have local developments and then having to merge them together. We just wanted a web-based environment that can scale as fast as our team grows. As mentioned, multi-language support was really important to us, but I think one thing that was interesting that we thought about was there are tools that have multi-language support, but only very few projects have a community that is based in so many countries that we can actually rely on native speakers to review the translations that are being made. And then Luis mentioned that we have a very conservative user base, and this user base is to us very special because it really goes from learners that are 16, 17, 18 years old that are doing their apprenticeship within cities, up to high ages of employees that are 65, 66, 67 years old, and they all need to be trained on the same platform. And within our testing, we're just able to see that Open edX is perfectly suitable for that. And although I think we do not have the most playful product, or maybe not the most playful solution, trying to be more playful, adding too much gamification has actually been received or has received some negative feedback over the last few months. So it's really important for us to find the right balance there, and I think edX has done a great job to be suitable for all age groups. We've spent a lot of time building our first course catalog on WordPress and iterating on WordPress what this product needs to look like, and we wanted an LMS that is able to be integrated with WordPress, which we've also achieved through the work and the services with EduNext. The things we're working on right now is looking at different LTI services that we want to integrate, and I also saw earlier the overview of the different extensions that are coming into this space. I think this has really been a great innovation to just have a list of extensions, of Open edX extensions, because we just always have an eye on those and check whether these are applicable for our user base. And another thing is native mobile apps. More and more training institutions here are handing out iPads to their employees to start learning, and we just believe that a native app can be a great addition to our offerings there. Going a bit more high level on the trends that we see in EdTech and what we want to do. One thing that I've observed over the last few years is that there is a trend of unbundling certain services and business models of these leading platforms. So I think our case is a great example where these large learning platforms, for example, Udemy or LinkedIn Learning, are failing to address a niche market. So Udemy, for example, has has started targeting this market, or LinkedIn Learning has started targeting this market, but they have a different set of content from the corporate learning sector that they're trying to put into this niche market. And I think we are way more equipped to twist and turn our products in a way that really serves these special needs. And I think this is going to happen over a variety of topics and a variety of markets, that we're beginning to see more specialized online academies. And I think this is a great opportunity, because Open edX can be the foundation of these academies, the same way it is for Academa. Second thing is, we have an advantage that we can build cohorts of learners that want to learn on the same schedule, that are willing to invest the same amount of time and want to receive the same outcomes. So we can really leverage cohort learning and maximize our engagement rates. We're very proud to have a completion rate in our courses of well over 90%. And I think this is based on two things. This is based on the fact that we have a common interest with the employees that use the courses and the employers that pay for the courses. And the other thing is that with these cohorts, we can just build a very classical peer pressure within these institutions to complete the courses and to make it more fun, rather than everyone running on their own pace. Another thing that I think the entire MOOC space has been really good at is building modular content and having small learning nuggets throughout our courses. And the thing that we want to see also, and we want to be an example with our product, is how can we make this learning process more personalized? So we have all of these small learning nuggets. We have all of these short videos that don't necessarily need to be consumed in a chronological order. And the things that we're working on is how can we let our users navigate these courses in their own way, but then in the end be able to certify them on whatever they've learned, because certification, same as in corporate learning, is very important to the government institutions that pay us to provide these services. To give you a look behind the scenes of what we're doing with regards to content creation, where we think we can kind of be cutting edge, because we can just really focus on one customer persona. I wanted to give you an overview of some things we're doing. One aspect that is easily overseen is the question of which topics do I put into my courses and which courses do I build. For us, every course that we build is an investment, and we want to address the right topics. So we use a variety of tools, simple tools like Google Trends, to really understand which topics are people Googling within a certain field, which questions do we need to answer within every unit. We receive great feedback from domain experts that want to sit down with us and discuss which topics belong in the course, which might not. And that takes us to basically putting together workshops with them and writing storyboards. And a lot of course creators might know that feeling or that challenge, that when we have these domain experts that have previously never built edtech products or built MOOCs or smaller closed online courses, we really need to do a lot of education as well and show them how do we match the right features to learning objectives. And there's a trend that I really like. There's more and more online, more blog posts writing about these things, and more tools that help us do our job. One example, over the last few weeks, we thought about how can we help our course instructors get above this task of writer's block, because sometimes it's really hard to, find the right cliffhanger or find the right intro for a video. And there's more and more AI copywriting tools. One of which we use is Jarvis. It's called Jarvis.ai, where we can help our course instructors get past that writer's block. So that's a trend that I really like. The other thing is, we started in content production with a very traditional approach of having a film studio and having our speakers in front of our videos, and then we have slides and animations in the background, which I still believe is a great format for these courses, but we're hitting some limitations because we need these courses in a lot of languages, and it's not enough to just transcribe them and have a different language transcription. So what we're testing right now is using tools for human-based avatars. So turning our instructor into an avatar, and then translating the text that we put into the avatar, which we just see these tools are getting better and better, and it just makes the learning experience in various languages more human. And maybe to round it all up, whatever experiments we're running here and whatever we're doing is really based on user insights and checking whether all these innovations are applicable for our user base. And the experiences that we've made is that this government market and these government agencies really want to add their thoughts on the things that we're building, and it's just a matter of finding the right moment in time to ask them for feedback. A mistake that I personally have done in the past when building MOOCs is these MOOCs were built and you come into a course and the first thing you have to do is you have to answer 2 or 3 surveys. This is good if you just want to increase the number of surveys that you receive, because the attention span is at the beginning of a course. But we've completely shifted this, and we ask them for feedback, or we ask them to book an interview slot at the magic moments of our courses, at the moments where we know that are most engaging and most fun. For example, when you receive your certificate, we add a link where you can book and schedule an appointment with me or someone else in the team to talk about your experience in the course, and then we add you to a pool of beta testers to test some of the new stuff that we're working on. So those are all little things that are happening in the background to really make sure that we're addressing this market on the same way or in the appropriate way. So if you're working on anything similar, if you're testing and you might want to exchange on tools, exchange your experience on tools, or other small ventures that are in their go-to-market phase, just want to exchange their experience, we're always happy to talk and answer your questions, or just check out things together. So yeah, that's it from our side, and I'm happy to go into the Q&A.
Thank you, Patrick, and thank you, Luis. That was a wonderful presentation. Great to see you engaged on the product side now. For everyone who has questions for Luis and Patrick, please add it to the chat. Select everyone in the drop-down feature and post your questions there. One question that came up earlier is what sorts of OpenEdX theming components did you implement, and what value do you see in OpenEdX theming in general?
Yes, well, we started with a basic theming from the beginning. For now, we have not invested a lot of time in the theming components of OpenEdX, but I think what we see going forward, or what I think is very attractive, especially for larger institutions, is to theme them to our clients. So we have 2 types of customers. We have the ones that are going onto our website and they book a course for themselves, or maybe 1 or 2 team members. And then we have the types of clients or customers that want to use it for entire departments. And I think one thing that theming would be great for is to just have the corporate identity of the department or of the city or the university on that learning environment. That is something that I think we will look into in the future.
Okay, thank you, Patrick. There's a question from Dean from ABC Learning asking if there are any MOOCs available so that we can see an example of a course.
Sure. So our structure is a bit different. I wouldn't call them MOOCs because they're not really open. We have the way we've built our platform is that we have our courses, our entire courses are behind a paywall, but every single course has a demo course. So you can just go on our website. It's the currently we have the German version. The English version will be coming by at least end of December. And every course has a demo course consisting of one chapter that you can just enroll in to check out the videos, check out the assignments, and go along from there.
Okay, great. There's another question from Juan Montoya of EduNext asking, how do you manage or plan to manage content reusability?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. We've put a lot of effort into thinking how can we map all the content that we have and put it together into new courses, kind of like building puzzle pieces. And what we have right now is we have people on our team working with domain experts that just put together storyboards for every course. And then whenever we're building a new course, for example, if we have a course on how to manage external funding for universities, and right now we have a city here in Germany that wants a similar course, but they want a different framing, then we go into those storyboards and we can check which elements can we reuse and where do we have to add new videos. So it's a very right now it's a very visual process, more of a landscape of everything we have, and then putting it together whenever we get a certain request.
Okay. There's a question from Helge asking, are there obvious improvements in Open edX that would support the course development project as you described?
That's hard to say, because I think at the end it comes down to a lot of details. But one thing that would really help us is anything that would allow us to make the learning journey more personalized. So any feature like a recommendation engine for content within edX Studio to show us how we can put existing pieces of content together in a new order for each user. I know there are some efforts that are working on this, and there are more and more recommendation engines, but there is nothing that we can use right now out of the box, for example, within edX Studio.
Okay. If there are any other questions, we have about 10 minutes of Q&A time left. Please add them into the chat there. Another question that came up earlier is, what opportunities do you see for Open edX to further penetrate the German market? As you mentioned, I believe about 65% of schools in Germany are using alternative e-learning technologies. What opportunities do you see for Open edX in that market?
Well, I think since especially in Germany, almost everything is state-run, or a lot of things are state-run in K-12 education. And I think here it's more of a top-down approach to talking with politics and promoting Open edX as a solution on the politics side, and then passing it down to individual schools. I think we can characterize the entire B2G market here as being very risk averse. They don't want to take risks on testing out new tools and using new solutions. And things are very popular when they've historically grown to be popular. Here, Moodle is so common that most schools or even universities don't really take the time to look at other solutions. And my approach would be to go top down through the political side to promote Open edX there as a solution, and then hand it down to individual schools.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very interesting. Okay, are there any other questions for Patrick or Luis? Okay. There don't seem to be any other questions. So what we'll do now, we'll break for a break session now at 10:40 a.m. will be the next Birds of a Feather session. And then we will rejoin this presentation room at 11 a.m. for the final presentation of this event. Thank you for joining, everyone.
Great, thanks.
Thanks, bye.
Thank you.